Welcome back to the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast, where our old friend Coach Matt Driscoll comes in up in Jacksonville, Florida at the University of North Florida. Coach, I hear you've been to lunch with some people.
Yeah, you talk about old. I'm getting old, and I wish I had a window show you how beautiful it is out here in Jacksonville with the sun shining. But some of the guys came in early. I think there were, I'll tell you exactly how many there were: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we went to lunch, one of our favorite spots down by the beach. It's called Maple Street Biscuit Company. There's 47 of them now around the country. So as a matter of fact, they just opened one down near you. So you need to go check it out. It's always good. And it's interesting. I've been doing this lunch with them all the time, but this summer we got back to it because of COVID when they were here. And I had a bunch of prescribed questions, so to speak, from all over the place. If you could have lunch with somebody, if you could, be in a movie, what kind of movie, you were the star, all that kind of stuff. Today, it was thrown onto my heart. I was walking through the campus to get to my car, and a parent, I either looked distraught or I was locked into something or something. And a parent, because it's move-in day for all the young kids. And a parent said to me, pretty emotional day on campus, isn't it? And I was kind of taken aback. I wasn't looking at him, or he kind of walked by me. And I looked at him and I'm like, I went, what happened? Like that. Like I thought something happened. And he's like, like move-in day, I'm like, okay. Hey, I'm Coach Driscoll. I'm the men's basketball coach. I said, actually, I've been here 13. So we started talking. His, first child to go to college, and it's a daughter, and yada, yada, yada. So when we got to lunch, I kind of flipped the script and I kind of went, what was the one thing when everybody left? Like, what's the one thing that really sat on you? They had all kind of great answers. And then what would you tell a freshman now looking back on it, with some really good advice? And so we kind of walked down those roads in different questions, because I think you can really understand your guys more, and your guys can understand you more if it's a lot more. We never spoke a word about basketball. We never spoke a word about what do you think about the summer? What guys did you like? It was all about like just talking and laughing and eating. And when you throw food, it's always a good thing. So it's something that I've done a lot, something we've done a lot. And I really think it's important. Sometimes we do it in pairs. Sometimes we do it one-on-one. And the last week and this week, I've done it as a group, anyone who's around. So it's really cool. And I think, once you get into the crux of what you're doing, I think some of those things come back. And then you continue to build that. Because the one thing, Ken, in my opinion, the one thing we have to keep helping these guys understand, and their parents as well, is that when they get to school, they've got to become better askers. They got to become better at whys. They've got to become better at, if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question, but you need to know the answer. So ask the question, as opposed to going to a secondary person or even somebody in your family, and now all of a sudden they're reaching out to the assistant, or they're even reaching out to the head coach, when in reality, those conversations are always going to be had with the coaches. And it helps build that and foster that. And then you can, show statistics, or you can show, breakdown of where they are in their season. You can show, how many times their team won, or I don't have that one in front of me, won or lost, or so all those things, and then I'm having trouble with one of my roommates. I'm not meshing. Here's the thing, Ken, a lot of people don't realize that white or black, like a lot of times when you get to college, sometimes you could be the only child. So forget about white and black. Like, I've never even had a roommate. I don't even know what it's like to live in a house with someone else, so you go through all those different things and help these guys, and also throw it upon, we have 11 freshmen and sophomores.
Mhm.
And part of that is because of COVID, that free year that they received. Some guys had already redshirted. So we have 2 guys in a program that are 4th year sophomores. So they could be in college, for a long, long time. Hopefully get a master's. We used to joke about get your master's, and now some kids are going to get double masters. But I really think that as we move forward, so like this summer, we've always done some really neat things, but we've taken it even to another level. We, had somebody teach them how to change a tire, how to jump a car, how to clean a toilet, how to go shop. It's interesting. One of the guys at the lunch this afternoon, the question I asked was, looking back at your freshman year, and he's only a sophomore. So he was here last year as a freshman. He said, Coach, I spent way too much money eating out, and I have a full kitchen where we live, and I've got to do a better job, and I want to do a better job. So one of the things we always do is, take them out, show them how to shop, show them what to look for, show them how to find deals or to use coupons or whatever. And then we do a really nice job, I think, is we take that and then we show them how to cook. So I think they got like 4 different meals. And then what happened was we prepared that food into what they just bought. So spaghettis and meatball. What's that fancy dessert you put in the frying pan with a cookie? Bazooka, whatever that's called. And like, they learned how to do, I don't know, something else, but anyways, some kind of chicken and something else. But, just those little things. And of course, with YouTube now and the way you can do it, it'll tell you what ingredients to buy and all this different stuff. And so I really feel like, we had board game night. Like, there's one kid, you're going to love this, Ken. So we had board game night, and we tied it into another place we took them to shop to show them how you could get a little bit inexpensive, but a little bit maybe better quality, and what a calzone tastes like, or what maybe a baked pizza you can get that's less expensive, and just all those different things, cereal. But Battleship was one of the board games we brought. And there's a kid who played Battleship best of 3. He actually never heard the term rubber match before, by the way. Best of 3, and he stayed about 40 minutes past when the rest of us left to finish the game. He had never played Battleship in his life.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's cool, and you play Trouble and Connect. I've never seen this before. In Connect 4, we had 2 guys play Connect 4 all the way through to the last checker and won. So apparently, I guess, I don't know if there's always a winner, but they got through the last checker and won. That's how intense that game was. So anyways, it got us back to that, everybody talks about team bonding. I think Clemson's up in Lake Kiowee right now doing that. And, everybody does, bonding activities or whatever. But just, we wanted to get the guys back to being connected because there was so much isolation, so much, way, way, way more than we would ever want. And that was one of the things the guys talked about. One of the freshmen, sophomores now, said that Coach, he really hopes that as a freshman, they don't get caught up in that. Like, they were forced to stay in their dorm and be on the Zoom and not go to class and all this stuff. Well, you start living that way, you start getting comfortable that way, you start, next thing you know, maybe you get good grades, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, this is pretty good. And now you don't have that other part. Because we all know, Ken, at least this is how we say it, going into the classroom that's learning. Going to college is being educated.
Mhm.
Like the experience is the education. It's way
Sure.
greater than the classroom. The classroom's for learning. But anyways, I don't even know if I answered your question, but we seem like we was all over the place on that one. But it was a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
lunch. It was a good lunch.
good lunch. You answered my first two actually, so I'll just move on to the hardwood. Very good.
Oh,
You
we got
got
hard ones coming up?
hardwood, yeah.
Oh,
No, the
hardwood. I thought you
hardwood.
said
Yeah.
hard ones.
No, hardwood.
If you want hard ones, come follow our schedule.
Oh,
So,
hey, well, who
so
you
we
got?
open up, so we open up Tuesday, November 9th at Texas Tech.
Ooh.
They'll be top, whatever, 25. And then on Wednesday, we play Texas A&M.
Back
And
to
then we
back.
travel Thursday and we play Grand Canyon, who's going to be one of the favorites in their league, went to the NCAA tournament in
Mhm.
Phoenix. And then we get Saturday and Sunday to recoup after 3 games in 4 days. And on Monday, we'll play Arizona State at Arizona State. So we get to stay in one location because they're only 20 miles apart.
Mhm.
And then on Tuesday, we'll take a nice 4 or 5 hour bus ride up the, I don't even know what highway it is, Interstate 5. I don't know what goes to LA,
Mhm.
but we're heading to Beverly Hills to play that top 5 UCLA Bruins.
The Bruins, huh?
So
Golly.
that's our opening trip. The good news is we get to come home and have a home opener. And then right after that little Thanksgiving, couple days of Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, we'll play at Kentucky and then take a plane the next day and play Sunday at FIU. We also got Florida State and Florida as well, not to mention at FAU. So it's
Wow.
definitely, and we're going into our 13th season. It's definitely the most difficult non-conference schedule that we've ever played.
Easily.
And part of it is we have to raise X amount of dollars. And because of the way COVID has affected that industry,
Mhm.
now you have to play a couple more games as well, too. So we actually have 8 games that have a monetary connection to them. FIU and FAU are return games. So it's just, it's just one of those deals where it is what it is. You have to do what you have to do depending on where you're at. And we've always done this, Ken. And I say this with pride because we've won 3 championships in the last 7 years. So it's not like
Sure.
you can say whatever. However, along that way, in our 12 years, our overall record is 192 and 194. And, we're 2-61 against high majors. And I'm not talking money. There's way more money games than that.
Mhm.
We've actually played a total of 79 money games, but we've played 63 high majors and we're 2-61. We beat Purdue at Purdue. Probably, if you look back, we just had a reunion for the 2010 to 2021 class. Probably, one of the greatest deals ever, only because of the environment, and that team went to the NCAA tournament. It wasn't like Purdue was down.
Mhm.
And then the next year we beat Illinois. And we've been in a lot of good ones too.
Yeah.
We've been in a lot of good ones too. So it is what it is, but it's an unbelievable preparation for this group. We finished 4th or higher for 8 straight years, which no one else in the league has done. And it's not easy to do. And now the league's growing. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but now the league's growing. So like our consistency's been phenomenal. However, this, Ken, because you've been doing this too long.
Yeah.
It's a fine line between being a champion and being wherever else you want to place yourself. And what does that fine line look like? How do you describe it? How do you define it? How do you can go right down the list. And I would say to you, just like we tell our guys, at some point, which game gets you in and which game keeps you out. So in our league, the top seeds get home court advantage in a tournament. Every single tournament game is played at the home court. So which games get you in or which games make you go on the road? And a good example was our last championship in 2020, a couple of years ago. We lost to the 8th place team at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept us from being the outright champion and being the number 1 seed. Now, you don't know it then. Of course, it was a little bit early in the season, but it goes back, Ken, to what you and I know. You've got to take care of today. Tomorrow's worries are enough for tomorrow. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. Today's the greatest day we have. So how can we go 1-0, get up, win the day, and how can we go 1-0? Because that truly is how things are. Because what you're doing right now and what you're doing for all these magazines and these articles and all this stuff, the only thing that you're doing is providing an incredible perspective and perception. That's all you're doing. Because the only reality in our business is March.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only reality. Because at the end of the day, what have you done? Bam, regular season's over. Because at our level, those 3 games in March, those are the most important games.
The tell all.
Yeah. Texas Tech's huge. It's the first one. A&M's huge. UCLA, Kentucky, Arizona State, Grand Canyon, Florida, Florida State, whatever. But at the end of the day, you and I know schools like us and leagues like ours, those 3 games in March are huge.
Huge. You got your top 2 leading scorers back. Jose Placer, 14.9 points per game. Carter Hendrickson, 14.5. That's good. I mean, if you're going through the gauntlet like that, you got to have at least your top 2 scorers back.
The thing about those 2 guys also too, Ken, is they're 2 of the guys I told you that have been around.
Mm-hmm.
So Carter should technically be a senior. So he's in his 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
Jose is in his 4th year because he transferred from UMBC, sat out a year, and now gets last year back. And you're talking about, we're the only team in the league that had a first teamer, Carter Hendrickson, a second teamer, Jose Placer, a all freshman team, Jonathan Abar. And I mean, if you want to throw in another one too, we also had Scholar Athlete of the Year too, which was Carter. So, but we're the only ones that had those 3 basketball accolades.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the day's done, it is what it is. But if you're looking at it from a coaching perspective, like you said, Carter's 6'8", he was 6'1" in 9th grade. He's really more of a guard. That's why the NBA and the pros love him, because he's way more of a guard, but he's got enough girth and enough strength to do things around the basket as well too. And Jose, he finished at 61% at 6'1" at the rim. 61% at 6'1" at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Shot 45 from 3 when we won. So I told him, how about we get up to that 45 all the time and get us some more wins? So I think he shot 37 or 38 overall, and he'll get better and better and better. And remember, he sat out. So he sat out. This was the first year he played, and he had to play with quarantine, disruptions. Team can't play. I got to isolate. Here we get going. We're ready, coming back from Christmas. Boom. We can't play. No practice for 6 days. Boom. 1 day prep, play JU. Boom. Get some games at home. Boom. Start getting rolling. Take a 10-hour bus ride to Liberty. Land on their campus. Boom. Somebody tests positive. 10-hour bus ride all the way home. 6 days off. 1 day to prepare. You're going to play Liberty again. Back on the bus. 10-hour drive. Go back and play Liberty. You end up winning the league on the road. Come back. Maybe get a home game. Boom. Team you're playing gets COVID. You're off. So now you've been off, on, how many home games you think we played in February, Ken?
I'm going to take the under. I was going to say 1 or 2.
How about 0?
0. Okay.
So,
yeah,
it is what it is. So when I look at that, and I'm a very, very analytical guy.
I know.
And,
Yeah.
and I studied Loyola Chicago this summer. And then I went back and went through all of our stuff. And I've been doing this a long time, but I'm not one of those guys that just sits around and, there's head coaches, there's assistant coaches, there's all kind of different people and the way different things work. But that's what I like to do. And then we came up with some things and we put it into that summer that we didn't have last year. We have some transfers we'll talk about in a minute that have come in that are going to give us some influx and help us to understand. The one thing that we're huge on, and we've always understood, our greatest teams, the 2020 championship team, and then our greatest teams have always had great competitiveness. And what we like to do, Ken, is we like to have, and this is hard to do, we like to have 2 ASUN teams on our team, if that makes sense. Like guys that could start on other ASUN teams that maybe aren't better than a Carter Hendrickson or Jose, John, whatever the purpose is.
Mhm.
And also, too, guys like Garrett Sams, who came in as a freshman and put a starter from a championship team as a junior on the bench. Now, it wasn't until December, but it was the right thing to do. So, and the guys know that. We're all about the elephant in the room. We're all about talking about, like, this is the way life works. Like, this is life.
Yeah.
And coaches, James Conner's got a great book. I think it's called Fear Something, the running back from Pittsburgh, about his cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to I'll read this part to the guys on Sunday when we come back for our first team meeting. And in the book, it was so interesting. He was a nobody riding a bench, had an incredible senior year, thought he was going to play defensive lineman at Pitt, ended up being a running back, wasn't good enough to play. And he said to himself, if the coaches trust in me and the coach believed in me and they want me to be here, then I got to just trust in them, believe in them. And then he said he started watching what the people that were the best players were doing. And the first thing he said?
Yeah.
When they went to eat, their trays looked way different than his. And like think about that. You're 18 years old, you're invincible, right?
Right.
And next thing you know, last game of the year in the bowl game, he breaks Tony Dorsett's all-time rushing record for one game, 228 yards or something. And I watched Tony grow up playing, being from Pittsburgh. But my point to you is, there's a lot of really, really good dudes out there. But we want to have a team that has that much competitiveness that you have the ability to have 2 teams going at each other every day that can win an ASUN championship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we've had the best success. And we really feel like we've gotten back to that level quickly in some of the recruiting that we've been able to do and endure, during last year. So really super excited about what happened this summer, some of the little changes that we made philosophically, defensively, playing more man, playing less zone. And our first championship, we played a lot of man and a little bit of zone. Our second championship, we played about 50-50. And main reason is because Romello Banks, everybody forgets, Romello Banks was a starter on our first championship team. He had double ankle surgery. He didn't play. So we were a lot smaller. So we didn't have as many pieces then. And then our last championship, we were a whole lot more zone than we were man because we just didn't have the foot speed. Mm-hmm. But we've definitely gotten better athletically. We've gotten better laterally. We've gotten better vertically. we can always, and we will always shoot the ball, shoot the pee out of the ball. But when you look at us, Ken, 2 of the last 6 years, we led the NCAA in 3-pointers made.
Mm-hmm.
And someone the other day was in the arena trying to sell us speakers. And I walked in and he said to me, man, coach, like looking at that banner up there, like that's impressive. And I'm like, that's the one thing we do. That's the one thing we're going to do. And we're not going to stop. But what's crazy is when you look at our numbers, 13 ASUN games last year. So 12 regular season, 1 tournament. If I told you roughly, the kind of team we are, how we play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The pace and our shots.
Mm-hmm.
We took around 600 shots. It was more than that. Let's make it 600 to make the number easy. We took 600 shots in 13 games on offense. How many threes do you think we took?
425.
400 would be about what everybody would say.
Yeah.
Right? 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We took 328 layups and dunks. We took 313 threes. And we took 45, excuse me. I got that. Well, I was close. 324 layups and dunks. I was right. 313 threes and 45 long twos. Because we don't,
wow.
I don't coach long twos. We shot 49% from long twos. I probably should have took more, huh? No, I'm joking. But my point to you is, we play at the rim a lot more than people think.
Right.
And it's because you got all these dudes out there that can shoot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now you got space, you can, do different things. So I know we're going to talk about recruiting and then a league expansion, but that's how we feel. And you handle all your perception and everything that you believe, and we'll handle the day-to-day. And really, and you and I talked about this before. Understanding when you bring it, and you can fill in the word it, when you bring it to the classroom, when you bring it to the locker room, when you bring it to an uncomfortable situation with your teammate to tell him he's got to quit taking bad shots, when you bring it with a relationship, when you bring it with a coworker, when you bring it, and when you own it, when you own, this is our culture. This is what we stand for. This is what I stand. This is our values and how they mesh and how they come together. And owning it is looking in the mirror, because you're never going to lie to yourself.
Right.
So when you bring it and you own it, whatever that it is, and you do it every single day, there is no mundane. There is no grind. Like, I know everybody loves Brady and to talk about Brady, and you know why? Because
he brings it.
You should.
Yeah.
Because he's 42 years old and he's never not prepared. And my point is, as we embrace that and continue to hone that, especially with what transpired last year with 7 new guys that had to deal with everything I talked about earlier from an isolation separation type of scenario, we're really super excited about this group coming back this weekend and then starting our 5-week preseason, 5-week practices, and then of course at Texas Tech on that first night.
Yeah, I know you've got, like you say, 11 sophomores and freshmen on paper, and then of course Jonathan Abar, my bad, Jonathan Abar, Emmanuel Adedoyan, I think.
Adedoyan, yep.
Adedoyan, and then Dorian James. But you've also put some new faces in here as well.
Jonathan obviously is a freshman. Just he comes every day. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny. One of the guys, I heard him talking last week, and he's just like, he's just the same way every day. Like, you never have to worry about what you're getting with him. Like, he just brings energy every single day, and he's awesome. And he really has a chance to really blossom because he wants to be really good, and he's not afraid of, the old saying, would you rather be, ruined by praise or saved by criticism? And he's not afraid to be coached and to help him understand how he can become better. And I told him in his evaluation last year with our staff, we told him that, you would have to go back and do a study on it. One of our assistants maybe has, like, how many all freshman guys ever made it to an all league team?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then vice versa. Carter Hendrickson, nobody even knew about him. Next thing you know, he's second team, first team, and, be a chance to be preseason player of the year. So with Jonathan, it's been great. And Jaden, to his credit, has probably had the most aggressive, and I say that in a good way, the most aggressive physical summer, maybe of anybody on the team. And obviously he played a lot of minutes last year at spot times, and he's 6'10" and, $190, whatever he is. But he's tough, he's strong, and he didn't go home for break after we had a 3-week break. He didn't go home, he stayed, which is an incredible sign, which makes you feel awesome as a coach. He's from Wilmington, and dad's in the Hall of Fame at William and Mary. So, those two guys specifically. And when you look at, a guy like Dorian, he was ebb and flow. And he got so many different things came out his way last year. But again, had a really, really, really good statistical summer. Winning, defending, we kept defensive statistics individually and as a team. We really honed in on our defensive prowess, so to speak. And Dorian's got so much to him, but I think he's finally comfortable in his own skin. And I think he kindly, at 6'7", he knows that it doesn't matter what you want to label me, Mr. Writer or Mr. Fan or Mr. whatever. I'm just going to be me, which is athletic, explosive, really can do so many things with his length, make a stationary three, handle and pass, rebound the ball in traffic. And Emmanuel Adedoyan, I mean, you look at a kid like he kind of plays behind Ivan Ganderosa, one of the greatest players to ever play here, and then gets thrown into it. Last year was the first time, Ken, we ever played two little guys. And I say little, I'm 5'8", but, two, 6'1", 6'2" guys. We've never done that before. And to Emmanuel's credit, shoots 43% from three and obviously has a great year. However, just like all our guys, that's great. You've made great strides, but now what are you going to do? And now, how are you going to continue to grow? Because at the end of the day, you got to be better. We got to be better. And our job's simple, Ken. If we can make you as good as we can make you, and we can bring in as good of players as we can bring in, it's a recipe for success like we've had. So we're excited. Emmanuel, he really understands us, and he's much more comfortable now. So that's going to be, exciting for him. And then when you look at some of those guys, Ken, like, for instance, JB, Josh Berenbaum, Chaz Lanier, you don't even know who those guys are probably.
Yeah.
And JB, just so you know, was newcomer of the week, the last week in the league. And he played 11 minutes in the league coming into that weekend. But he was thrust into it.
Yeah.
And Chaz was thrust into it. They had to play. We only had 8 dudes. They had to play. So, like Abe Lincoln said, I'll be prepared. Perhaps my chance will come. So they get thrust into it. Next thing you know, JB goes 15, 15, 12. Chaz goes, I forget, he made 3 out of 4 threes the first game. I think he had like 15 his first game. And Chaz, you know, JB is a lot like a Carter or a Bo Beach, you know, one of those kind of guys. Can handle it, pass it, play on the perimeter. Not quite the athlete Carter and Bo is, but he's not a stiff either. Chaz, on the other hand, was a guy, Ken, all season long. Dad's in the Hall of Fame at Lipscomb from Nashville. And we never saw him play. We never even got to hug him in person because of COVID, you know?
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then, whoa, we get shut down. He gets shut down for 21 straight days. 21 straight days. And he gets back like 5 days before the season starts. He starts against NC State. I should have never, it was bad play by coach, but anyways. And then next thing you know, we want to play him, shut down. We want to play him, he gets a minor injury. We want to play him, shut down. We want to play him. Well, by the time now it's February. And then bada bing, bada boom, last weekend of the season, you got to play. So when you got two guys like that have been through that, I challenged them all summer long. I challenged them. Like, what are y'all going to do? Are y'all going to be like Vanilla Ice? Y'all going to be one-hit wonders? Or y'all going to, get it on? So, it's one of those things where you have those guys. I think that's all the returners, if I'm not mistaken, Ken. And when you look at the new group coming in, Max Orlicka obviously being the only freshman in that core. And he's got an incredible skill set that goes so well with us. And he's working through some things physically. And as he gets back and is on the floor with us and continues to grow, it's going to be interesting to see how different he is when he gets back to when he gets 5 weeks leading into the season practices and then leading it. I'm really excited for him. Hopefully he's excited as well to see how, because he's got some really neat tools that you're really going to like. However, the one tool he has, he's uber competitive. And then when you look at the two transfers, the transfer portal, the transfer wire, all that wording and all that terms, what it's going to look like and how it's going to proceed in the future. And it is what it is, like, whatever. But Jordan, kind of a unique deal, recruited him out of high school a little bit, played against him when he was at Bethune, and then Bethune shuts down their team. He does something very rare, by the way. He leaves for 1 semester, goes to a junior college because he wants to play, because he's got his free year. He might as well go play. And he ends up getting his degree, which is pretty impressive if you think about that whole crux of it. And then, of course, he brings us, you won't remember him, but we had a kid named Jalen Nesbitt. He was all tournament our championship year. We got him from a junior college. He played 2 years for us. He's still playing professionally overseas. And Jordan has got a lot of Jalen in him. Probably a better shooter now than Jalen was coming in. Jalen can really shoot it now. But he's got the length. He can defend his tail off. He can really pass. He's got a little bit of, I would call it typicalness, in the sense that he's never met a shot he doesn't like. So we're working through that with him to try to help, because he's, you play in so many different systems. You're trying to figure yourself out. But he's a Florida kid, and we're super, super, super excited about how he's going to continue to grow. And he's only a sophomore. And then we got a Division II All-American, Jarius Hicklin. Obviously his numbers, speak for themselves. What he could do, 43 from 3, led his team to the NCAA tournament back-to-back years in Division II. And from Dallas. So he's a little bit of a, comes with a little bit of a different mindset, so to speak. Played at a school I'm very familiar with when I was at Baylor, DeSoto, which is,
I've heard of it.
I recruited his uncle. I believe it's his uncle. I know he's a family member. I'm drawing a blank. He's number 5. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you who it is. Oh my goodness, he played in the league forever. He played at Texas Tech, wide receiver. Why am I drawing a blank?
Crabtree.
Yes,
Michael Crabtree.
He was Darrell Arthur's best friend.
Yeah.
So we were trying to bring him in as a package.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know this, but like Darrell Arthur was like uberly close to picking Baylor. He'd have been like one of those, like Tweety Carter was amazing as a McDonald's All-American to pick us after, coming out of that murder, so to speak. But Darrell would have been like that highest level dude, so to speak. Now they're getting top 10 guys like it's nothing. But I got to go watch Crab play. So I love football.
Yeah.
And coach is like, somebody's got to go watch him play football. I'm like, I got it. He had 5 touchdowns and he was amazing. But anyways, Jerry has played for his AAU team. And so he's got some stuff to him, really knows how to play. He's got incredible confidence. So again, you bring in a Jordan Priester, you bring in a Jarius Hicklin, you bring in these guys, Max Herlicka, you bring in these guys at ultra competitive. And then we got fortunate with a walk-on, a guy from the Virgin Islands who was a local guy playing in a prep school, shoots a living dog out of it, had a great summer. He didn't make as many shots, which is typical for those guys till they get used to the speed and how fast you have to get it off when compared to, high school. But he's got a chance to help us as well too. And again, gives us that competitiveness. So you look at those 4 new guys coming in, and then we talked about Emmanuel, we talked about Dorian, we talked about Jonathan, we talked about Jaden, we talked about JB, we talked about Chaz, we talked about Carter, we talked about Jose. Who'd I miss? Oh, and then lastly, you look at a guy that played 17 minutes a game as a freshman and had some incredible games. But again, Ken, he lived in that ebb and flow. And the biggest problem with guys that can shoot 2,000 points in high school, he's one of the greatest players to ever play in the Jacksonville area from Hilliard, Jacob Cruz. Like at 6'7", like he can do a lot. He's got incredible touch around the rim, can shoot the P out of it. But those guys are so mental. They're always doing math in their brain. Parker Smith, we just put him in the Hall of Fame, and Trent Mackey and Aaron Bottiger and JT Escobar, all those great ones we've had. Garrett Sams, they're always doing math.
Yeah.
They want to be 50% shooters, and then they go 1 for 4. So the next game I got to go 3 for 4. And I went 3 for 7. So now, like, they're always doing math. Like, forget that. Just go 1-0. Just go 1-1. 1 for 1. 1 for 1. And if you miss, shoot the next one. Because you know what? Coach is never going to be upset if you're taking good ones. Because that's why you're here. So that's kind of the way our team is going to unfold with 11 freshmen and sophomores. And then, of course, Carter being the outlier as the one junior.
Last thing, Coach, just real quick, kind of capsulize the growth of the Atlantic Sun year. We got Central Arkansas, Eastern Kentucky, and Jacksonville State rolling into the conference.
So we started, Ted Gumbert has been at the forefront of this. I can remember, Ken, it was at Stetson. So you would have to do the math and figure it out. The last time Stetson hosted the baseball thing, it was about 5 years ago. Ken was kind of on the forefront of this, continuing to build our league, help to make our league more stable. We had some teams that were coming in and going out. And then we had to, pull a team like NJIT all the way down, which was what it was at the time. But he was at the forefront, and part of it was to be football. So you're talking about all 3 of those teams are football teams. So now you got a 12-team basketball league. Now you got North Alabama that's got football, Kennesaw State that's got football. So now you got 5 that have football. So now you bring in, I think you need 6 maybe to get an automatic bid. For the, I don't know what they call it, 1AA is what I call it, but it's FCS, whatever it's called. So, he's on the forefront of laying that out. So I can see us going from 12 to maybe even 14.
Yeah.
To maybe even 16, depending on how many people want to jump on board, how this thing pans out. Plus, when did college basketball get to be the most competitive, in your opinion? Do you remember what transpired? There's one rule that changed.
I'm going to say in the 80s.
When they went from 15 scholarships to 13.
Yeah.
Because what happened was, that's 2 great players, 2 high major players at, 30 schools. Well, that's 60 dudes. Now them 60 dudes move down.
Yeah.
And then their 60 dudes move down. And then those 60 dudes move down. So you got all this trickle down effect. So then next thing you know, you got, this parity is starting to take place. Well, with Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, and who knows what's on the horizon.
Yeah, really.
Florida State, Clemson, just think of all the great football schools. And what really precipitated the whole thing was college football playoff. We got to do more than 4. We got to go to 6. No, let's go to 8. No, stay at 4. Next year, let's go to 6 or 8. No, stay at 4. Next year, Central Florida says stay at 4. Then all of a sudden, let's go to 12. Like that.
Yeah.
So the SEC
hopefully that's going to be in stone.
Like the SEC's like, we're going to 12? Shoot. Texas, Oklahoma, let's throw them in the mix. Maybe we get 3 of the 12.
Yeah.
They went from whatever hundreds of millions of dollars to a $1.3 billion league. Can you imagine if they added Florida State and Clemson?
Oh, yeah, really.
So, as all these leagues reshuffle, Ted Gumbert with this football, I'm sure we're going to have more movement as well, too.
I think so. Coach Matt Driscoll, always fun catching up with you, Coach. You've always got a lot of fresh angles, things that make you think. And I'm sure whenever I edit this, I'll find more things, that maybe slip through the cracks.
Well, I appreciate it, Ken. And obviously, I really respect you. And
thank you.
I think it's really good for people to help understand that there's a lot more than just, the X's and O's or between the black lines. But in our industry, that's what you get judged on. And it is what it is. You can have the greatest GPA and the nicest guys, and we do. And we do. We're proud of it. But at the end of the day, it's winning.
Yep. Always a pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon. Maybe before the season, maybe before you make that gauntlet out west.
Sounds great. Hey, come join us. Write an article about it.
I'd love to.
That would be something.
Yeah, just follow it around and just unfold it, unveil it.
Hey, there's a lot of 6 a.m. flights, just FYI.
Yeah, 6 a.m. All right. Take care, Coach. Thanks,
Ken.
Yes, sir.
God bless.
God bless you.